All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Asian Canadian Intercultural Dialogue that we're having in Calgary and area. My name is Phương Anh Anne-Marie Pham, and I am going to be your main MC and facilitator for today. First of all, I just want to thank all of you for coming out this Saturday for this dialogue, and it speaks a lot to your giving your time to building a stronger and more united Asian community in Calgary. Today is meant to be engaging, and it's going to be all about sharing and storytelling, building networks, and hopefully for you, building new connections and new ideas. We will have a chance to listen to some amazing stories from our community leaders and from each other. And we hope that the dialogue is going to be really interactive. So the way that the agenda is, we will start with a short presentation of the backgrounder about the Asian communities. We will hear and interact with community leaders of diverse interests, cultural and professional backgrounds. And lastly, we will have the community dialogues where our panel speakers will have conversations with you in smaller groups at your tables. I know that for some of us, maybe we're not used to having, sharing our stories. But at the same time, this is the opportunity for us to get to know each other better. So we really encourage you to do that and to support our collective understanding of our history, our contributions, our challenges, and our opportunities as an Asian community. The event today is organized by the ACT Foundation and the ACT to End Racism Network, which are nonprofit organizations that aim to enhance the understanding, engagement, civic participation, and leadership amongst Asian Canadians nationwide. More importantly, I would like to take a moment as well to thank our local partners from the Japanese, Chinese, Korean, Filipino, and Vietnamese communities. And honestly, we wouldn't be where we are today. We also want to thank the Alberta government and the Calgary Foundation being our funding partners. So a little bit of information here. At your tables, you are going to see some anti-Asian racism information materials. We have those in 6 languages: English, Chinese, Filipino, Japanese, Vietnamese, and Korean. And the distribution of these materials across Canada is a parallel project. There's also 2 QR codes at the back, one for resources that you can find online. So these resources are available online. And the other one is for your feedback on those resources and brochures. And if you fill out the survey, you will get a chance to win a $25 gift card until March 21st. There's also a QR code for the registration to this event. So if you haven't had a chance to register yet, please sign up and register for the event. That way we'll be able to send you information after today's events and the dialogues. For those of you who don't want to have your pictures taken, I hope that you use one of the colored dots and please display it visibly on you so that we recognize that and we will take pictures of you. Washrooms at the back, so the women and the men's washrooms at the back. And I think that's it for the housekeeping activities. At this time, I would like to start our event in a good way and invite Patty Pong, CEO of the Calgary Arts and Development Authority and one of our primary organizers and partners of this dialogue, to come up.
Years of trying to be an actor and not being a very good one. Oki Tanstada Abawastich, Tansi, Ni Hao. My name is Patty Pond. Anne-Marie introduced you as to my role at Calgary Arts Development. Today, I have the great privilege of serving in another capacity as a volunteer with Action Chinese Canadians Together and this very important project around intercultural dialogue among Asian communities. When we talked about planning our day today, we wanted to ensure that we started off in a good way. And for me, that means acknowledging this place that we call home. Irrespective of where we might have come from, irrespective of maybe our ancestors or our parents coming from somewhere. Today, all of us in this room call this place home. And it is the original home and the ancestral territories of the people who signed what is called Treaty 7. The Blackfoot Confederacy, comprised of the Kainai, Piikani, and Siksika First Nations, and the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Yayahe Nakota Nations, comprised of the Goodstoney, Wesley, and Chiniki First Nations. This place is also known as the home of the Métis Otipemisiwak Métis government, Districts 5 and 6. Now, sometimes some of you may have asked, why do we do this land acknowledgement? Why is this? And the answer that I want you to give people who maybe ask you that question is because we all call this place home. And if we don't acknowledge whose home this place was first, then we do a disservice, because it means we forget that this is a place that has had human beings living on this land and taking care of this land as long as Confucius, as long as Michelangelo, as long as Leonardo da Vinci, as long as any of the civilizations we know of in other places. There was a people here telling stories, sharing what was happening to the land, and taking care of it so that people like us could come here now in 2025. So that's why we do the land acknowledgement. And if it's people who don't really understand that, then I would say they don't really understand what it is to have a place called home. And that maybe that's the work of what we're hoping to do today. That all of the communities that are here with us today in this room, whoever and however you choose to live and walk in this world, is a place that welcomes that. And I know it's pretty hard these days to find that place. And we want this place to be like that for everyone here. So in that spirit, we have the great honor of having Elder Kevin Littlelight with us from the Tsuut'ina Nation. And he's going to come up and start us off in a good way. Kevin walks in this world in many, many different ways that I'm sure he will share with you. He also serves as a board member for Calgary Arts Development, so I'm very honored to get to be in relationship with him in that way, as well as a variety of other ways. But again, that's a reminder to you that when we talk about First Nations people, we're not talking about people who lived way back there in teepees sometime that didn't include us. That's part of it, for sure. But there are people today who are living among us, who are part of the original people of this place. And that's an important thing to acknowledge. So Kevin, please. And thanks so much for doing this with us, Kevin.
Daranastara. I'd like to really show appreciation and gratitude for Patty. Patty is one of the city's leaders. She's the leader of the Asian community. She's the leader of all of Calgarians. It doesn't matter the background. She has worked very, very hard, and I'm so fortunate to learn from her. She's a mentor of mine. I get to work on the board and see how professional she is, but also has the mindset of being very caring. And that's what the world needs today to move us all forward. So, in Blue Sky City that we are in now today, I'm very, very grateful for Patty. Thank you, Patty, for being you and leading all of Calgary and Calgarians into the great future. Daranastara, okay. Ambawastich, Danse. Those are the words of the first peoples of this area. And they are the people of the Blackfoot, which are the Piikani, the Kainai, the Siksika, and the Métis, and the Stoney Nakoda people. And we all are presiding in and around Calgary for millennia. I would like to say konnichiwa, ni hao ma, as well as Annyeonghaseyo. I don't know Philippine welcome. I don't know the Philippine language, and I don't know the Vietnamese language too well, but I will learn those when I learn more off the city. Where you are is traditionally Blackfoot territory, and over time we've had the Stoney Nakoda make it their home as well as the Tsuut'ina or the Sarsi people. They have all lived here for a very, very long time, but we acknowledge, I can't speak for the Siksika and I can't speak for the Stoney. They have their own origin stories. They have their own history. They have their own sciences, so I can't speak for them. But what I can speak for is the Tsuut'ina people. If you know Grey Eagle, does everyone know Grey Eagle Casino? I'm pretty sure that some of the similarities we have with Asian people is gambling. We really, really love gambling, Native Americans. Excuse me. We also are very superstitious. We are the same. We're very much the same as a lot of Asian people. We believe in superstition, the other worlds that are among us, the other dimensions. So when we've seen all these things happening with our microphones, you don't know if this building, and I suspect this probably has some spirits, right? And so we should probably put a banana or orange in a plate by the door, so you could have a more successful meeting. So that's what we are. Why are we the same? Why are we the same? We seem to gravitate to each other is because we have core, basic, same beliefs. We honor and we respect our ancestors. It's the same way for us in the traditional Native American ways. We love gambling, like I said. And we also acknowledge there is a present life force that is bigger than us. And that's how come we can relate together. The Tsuut'ina people have ancestors in northern Siberia. They're called the Ket people. They're a Dene-speaking people, and they're way, way up in Siberia. And it's always been said that a lot of us in Native America have ancestry to Mongolians. We have a lot of stories or history and science where they all come together, and there's kind of a general belief that at different times both there was a transcontinental highway, and we can't say that it's just this definite one. We can't say, no, there's a land bridge that just a bunch of people came over. That's not correct. What is correct and what we know is that people moved back and forth. People moved back and forth. It wasn't just one direction in everything. It was just a regular highway of people. They also came down the shores of British Columbia where our people were, and they boated. They boated up and along the coast there. So what you're finding today is proof of Polynesian ancestry as well that has landed and came about South America. So you have highways, you have ocean ways, you have people traveling. And the Tsuut'ina were related to these people that were travelers. Again, I won't speak on behalf of the Siksika, the Stoney Nakoda people. Again, I'll say that they have their own stories. But for us, the Tsuut'ina has always taken pride in being adventurers. We've always taken pride that we've traveled and we've stayed in many places, such as the Navajo in Arizona. Those are our people. The people are up in northern Canada called the Dene. Those are our people. That's who we are. The Apache, the famous Apache, the ones that everyone's scared of, Geronimo and them, those are my cousins. So don't mess around. And us, we're smack dab in the middle of the plains, and we had to adapt. That's the strength of the Tsuut'ina people, is being able to adapt. And that's how we came to be here. So in many cases, we are the same. We feel the same. And, racism doesn't have a boundary, doesn't have, it's for all walks of life that it attacks and makes unpleasantness for everybody. And a lot of us understand that, and we've grown up with that, unfortunately. But it doesn't discriminate that. So I'm glad we are gathering here today on some of those subjects, right? Size Kevin Littlelight at Gunas Kli Nania. Gunas Kli. It means that my name is Kevin Littlelight. I'm very happy to see all of you, and I'm very proud. That's what that means. And myself, as Patty had mentioned, that I was born and raised in Calgary, and I'm a Tsuut'ina member. That's the people right outside where the Costco is, and the Grey Eagle. That's the only way I could tell people. You know, as soon as they say I'm Tsuut'ina, they're like, "What? Who?" Then I say Grey Eagle Casino. Oh, okay, you're that guy. Yeah. That's us. My mother is a Blackfoot individual. She's a Blackfoot blood, they're called, and they're down by Lethbridge area. That's the biggest tribe in Canada. They're called the Kainai people. So I'm a mixture of the Treaty 7 people. I'm pretty much an ambassador, I would call myself, of the people here. What makes us similar, and why we're together here, and why what really can tell the telltale signs of us is that every Native American person that is born, and I'm not sure, and I'll find out from the Asian or the different Asian communities, when we're all born, we're born with a blue dot. Is anyone what I'm talking about? Babies, I had a blue dot, my son had a blue dot. We all have a blue dot on our back. And the people that have that, I'm not sure of anyone else, but I know Mongolians have that. And so I kind of take pride that I knew Genghis Khan's, right? He's one of the fearless. When I have to explain things, I say Genghis Khan. We're related to him. And I know that he's probably caused a lot of trouble for China and Japan, but I'm sorry about that. So as you can see, the world seems big, but it's actually quite small. And we're actually all here. We're here working for a better future. And that we acknowledge the Chinese that made ways here and that worked very hard to join this country together. So in a lot of cases, I always have to go back and say, the Chinese worked very hard for the Union of Canada. They built the railroads, allowing a lot of other people, Ukrainians, Russians, Irish, Germans, everyone to come across and ride on their work. They were a big part of immigration. They're a big part of building our country. So I acknowledge that as well. And without further ado, and maybe the spirits are giving me good luck because they haven't cut out the microphone on me. Maybe they want me to talk more. I don't know. But again, I'm very honored and gracious to have all of you here today and work towards a better future for yourselves, your family, your communities, and Calgary. That's where we're all going to be for a long, long, long time. So thank you very much, Siaskas, Nani Sane, and thank you.
Thanks so much, Kevin.
Thank you so much, Elder Kevin Littlelight. Thank you so much, Patty, as well, for all of this. I love all the connection points, Elder Kevin, that you made between the Indigenous community and the Asian communities. And I think that's one more reason for all of us to be together here and find those additional connection points throughout our dialogue session today. Okay, so before we get to the next event, we said earlier that this is about networking and connecting as well. So I'm going to just do a little activity, and I'm going to invite you to stand If the answer, not now. I love the enthusiasm. Yes, but I'm going to ask some questions, and then if it's yes, if your answer is yes, please stand. Okay, so we get a feel for like who's in the room. Please stand if you were born in Canada. Okay, thank you. Please have a seat. Thank you, everyone. Please stand if you were born outside of Canada in an Asian country. Oh, that's a lot of people. Woohoo! First generation. Here we go. Thank you so much. Please have a seat. Please stand if you were born outside of Canada in a non-Asian country. Anybody? Ooh, we have a few folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, wonderful. All right, please stand if you are from the Filipino community. Yeah, Filipino represent. Okay, can you shout out the name of your organizations, community groups? And you don't have to repeat if somebody already said it, okay? Just like shout it out.
Philippine Consulate General in Calgary.
Philippine Consulate General, thank you.
Alberta Leaders Community Associations in Alberta.
Thank you. Woo, welcome.
Council of Philippine and Canadian Women.
Thank you. Welcome. Amazing. Wait. Oh, so you're Filipino in the Japanese. I love it. Thank you. Okay. Woo. Filipinos Rising. Thank you. Amazing. Any other groups? Center for Newcomers. Thank you very much. CRIAC, Calgary Region Immigrant Employment Council. Look, I have the CRIAC folder here. Thank you so much. Any other groups? The Filipino Area Association. Okay. EDRI Association. Thank you.
We are from Gulfport and
Sandri. Okay. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. Please have a seat. Okay. Please stand if you are from the Chinese community. Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. Please, again, same thing. Please shout out what organization you're with, if you're part of an organization. We'll start at the front here. Yes. Glenville Museum. Welcome. Yeah. Ray, maybe? Fascination Film Festival, welcome. Great, thank you so much, welcome. Yeah.
Calgary Dragon Boat Society.
Dragon Boat, oh, thank you. Thank you, welcome. Sing well. Yeah. Chinatown Ambassadors, thank you. Welcome, great. Any other one? Great, thank you. Okay. Any others? Sorry, Alberta NDP at the front, thank you. Sorry about that. And then at the back? Okay, thank you so much. Yes, hello. Nice to meet you in person. Okay. Oh, another Chinese-Japanese connection. Beautiful. You too. Oh, yeah. Filipinos Rising. Party Chinese. I love those connections. That's beautiful. Oh, one more. Yes, sorry. Thank you, sir. Winky Nursing Home for Seniors. Beautiful. Okay. Fairchild. Thank you. Amazing. Okay, so many organizations are here today. I love it. Let's go to the Korean community. Yes, please stand. You're welcome. Or raise your hand. Yes, whatever works for you. Yes. Yes. Welcome. Yes. Thank you. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome. Yes. Same thing. Okay. Fabulous. Over here.
It's Korean Women's Association as well as Korean Clubs, the founder of
Great. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, great.
We are the smallest, but we have lots to talk about.
Smallest, but lots to talk about. Okay. Did I do the Japanese community already? I thought so. Okay. Welcome, members of the Japanese community. Please stand. All right, and same thing, please. I invite you to share the name of your organization. Yes. Is that all of you there? Great. Ooh, Okinawa Club. Beautiful. Thank you. Any other clubs? Do good? Same? Same. Okay, you peeps. Excellent. Already. And welcome to the members of the Vietnamese community. Please stand. Ooh. All right, welcome. So please share the organization name that where you're from. Okay, we'll start here.
We're from the Calgary Vietnamese Youth Association.
Thank you. Welcome. Okay, over here.
From the Calgary Vietnamese Canadian Association.
Calgary Vietnamese Canadian Association. Welcome. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Welcome, the Vietnamese Senior Citizen Association. Yes? The Veteran Association. Welcome. Yes? And
Committee of Freedom for Religion.
Freedom of Religion. Yes, thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. Please have a seat. Okay. And we'd like to just invite broad-based organizations from the non-Asian community. If you haven't had a chance to, please stand and introduce the name of your organization. Yes. And Keddy or Rosanna, I know you're there. I see you. Yes. Thank you for joining us today. Yes. Welcome, Rosbina. Thank you for coming. We have the Malaysian Singapore Association. Yes. Oh, hi. Hi, Jesse. Yes. Welcome. Okay. That's great. Well, thank you for coming. Thai community, I think somebody from, yes?
Rather a small community, but I'm representing the Thai Cultural Council of Calgary.
Welcome to the community event. Great. I think that's it. And I think City of Calgary, you already introduced yourself earlier. Okay, please let me know throughout the day if we missed anybody, but welcome each and every one of you to this event. We're so happy to have you here. At this time, I would like to invite Teresa Wupa, who's the founder and chair of the ACT Foundation and a long-time community leaders in the community. Some of us like to say that she's sort of a bit of the glue that has been holding us together. So, do you want to stick it here? Okay.
Thank you. I'm going to describe this as the drier part of the program. So I have some messages I'm responsible to deliver. So it won't be as fun as the part that Anne-Marie got to do. Anyways, so good afternoon, everyone, friends and colleagues. Welcome to all of you here for thank you for taking time to partake in this intercultural dialogue on successful integration, resiliency, and community building initiative on behalf of the Action Chinese Canadian Together Foundation and the Asian Canadians Together Act to End Racism Network. So on my way here earlier, I was listening to the CBC radio, and there was a debate on in-person meeting versus virtual online meeting. And I learned that there's a lot more brain wave collected in in-person meetings. So I'm very sure that I think that something is at work here, that we have lots of waves, positive energy going on here. Before I go on to make some opening remarks and set the context for dialogue today, I would like to take a moment. Where's Bang? Because she's timing us. Don't count this part. So anyways, I'm always bargaining with Bang. So I would like to speak to Elder Little Light. You thank the Chinese Canadian community, and I appreciate that acknowledgement, because it only took our government 80 years to really acknowledge the Chinese Canadians' contribution to the building of the railroad. But I also want to express our gratitude to the indigenous peoples, because when the Chinese railroad workers were left to die, it was the indigenous people who took them in to heal them back to life. And when Calgarians of Chinese descent and other Asian descent would have no doctor or healthcare worker would take care of them, it was indigenous healers who actually bring our ancestors back to health. So I would like to express that gratitude. So this initiative, as Anne-Marie had alluded to earlier, is supported by the Government of Canada's Ethno-Cultural and Anti-Racism Grant, which aims to increase cultural and cross-cultural awareness and to educate Albertans to prevent and address racism. While Alberta continues to be a place of opportunity for immigrants and diverse communities, the path to settlement for newcomers and the full and meaningful integration of racialized Canadians can be an arduous and challenging journey. It is my opinion, I usually don't like opinions, but this is my little opinion, Calgarians of Asian descent and some of the Asian Canadian communities have found some unique ways to respond to and address some of our collective challenges. And that is part of what we would like to have a conversation on and discover today. Now, so I'm going to highlight a few of the organizations that some of the people on the platform here had the opportunity to work together and strengthen our connection over time. So Asian Heritage Foundation started in 2000. I'm not going to name. Put your hand up if you were involved with Asian Heritage Month. So that's some of them. So this is an initiative started in Calgary in 2000, which is to facilitate social change for inclusion and belonging through collaborations, through arts and culture, education, and now furthering integrating anti-Asian racism issues since 2020. And then there's the Ethno-Cultural Council of Calgary, now known as Action Dignity, bringing Calgary's racialized communities together to build capacity and create paths to address common issues and concerns, as well as to influence public decision-making. So who are involved with Action Dignity? A few of you? Okay. So, and then there's the Asian Canadians Together to End Racism National Network, which was started in 2020 in response to the resurgence of anti-Asian racism. It actually started in Calgary and now with partners across Canada. So, and how many of you are working on a new entity to continue this work? All of you. So, continue. I just, you know, I want to highlight some of this work because this is about community collaboration. This is about collaborations that worked. So the Rainbow Coalition is possible and is demonstrated here in Calgary. Now, I also want to highlight, these are some of the gems that you may not know about Calgary. So we have the Japanese, the Calgary Japanese Canadian Association here, which is a chapter of the National Association of Japanese Canadians. Now, as many of you know, that the Japanese were were unjustly treated during the World War II. They were interned, and so when the government apologized and had to redress with the Japanese Canadian community, the Japanese Canadian community put aside $12 million from their redress fund, and later matched by the Canadian government to create the only crown corporation in this country to address issues of racism and race relations. And that is the contribution of the Japanese Canadian community. And the fund is to help other communities that face injustice in Canada. Right? So, and Anne-Marie and I have the honor to serve on the Canadian Race Relations Foundation currently. So, and then we have friends. I don't remember the full name, the Filipino community. Right, Filipino Rising, addressing issues of equity, access, and inclusion for the fastest growing community in Canada and in Alberta. We have the Korean community, half a century of presence in Canada and Calgary have added cultural, and as you can, Anna made sushi for you today. So culinary vibrancy to our city and enrich the social fabric of our city. And then there's the Calgary Vietnamese Youth Association, and that really demonstrates resilience of a community that arrived in Canada with little to nothing. I had the opportunity to work with the community as a social worker in the 1970s, and we see the resilience of the community, and it was so heartwarming to see when Anne-Marie and the community, they came as refugees, and then they raised money to sponsor Syrian refugees to pay back as a community. And also with Anne-Marie as the CEO of the Canadian Centre for Diversity and Inclusion, a national organization to address issues of diversity and inclusion, we are seeing evidence of leadership of the Vietnamese community in various professions. So there's the ACT Foundation, Action Chinese Canadian Together, a national organization focused on addressing the violation of Canadian charters of rights and human rights and issues, as well as the cause of anti-Chinese discrimination through research, leadership, advancement, training, and racial equality education. Calgarians of Asian descent not only made progress and led social development and change at the ground and organizational levels, we have also engaged in leading institutional change. Example is the comprehensive institutional change effort led by our Calgary art champion, Patty Pond. And so Patty, in her leadership as the CEO and president of Calgary Arts Development Authority, changed the organization now that reflect the city of Calgary, and they address issues of accessibility through their funding, support, and other opportunities through changes in policy and practices, the way they communicate with diverse communities, and how they make decisions, as well as community relations. Patty have gone to many, many banquets with me. So we have Asian Canadians in Calgary that have done things differently, uniquely, to respond to the challenges and took opportunity of what Canada have to offer to us and their family. So this initiative today, this dialogue today, is to create a platform for the participating Asian Calgarians, all of you, the communities, organizations, and interested parties. Through dialogue, through conversation, gain greater insights on the participation and integration of Asian Canadians in Alberta, and to enhance understanding of the context and issues impacting our realities as individuals, as communities, and at the system level. So we want to explore ways to put forth efforts that would generate even greater impacts. So next step is we learn, we listen, we share. There will be a summary report, and that will be provided to all of you and our funders. And then we'll also seek additional input from you from the evaluation in terms of what you would like to see as next step. From our sessions in Edmonton, Lethbridge, and Red Deer, the dialogue session were all very well received. And we learned a lot, we heard a lot, and I think that there's a great deal of interest to continue this kind of connection. So I'm not timing myself. But next is the presentation. So next is the presentation. It's a bit of context for our discussion today. So according to the 2021 census, Asians now make up almost 20% of the Canadian population, and the Canada's fastest growing population group as a result of immigration. And the 6 of the top 10, it's better that I read it. Sources of immigration are Asian. So just over 3.4 million people reported full or partial East or Southeast Asian ethnicity. So I'm not going to read the breakdown, but if you're interested, we'll be happy to share those information with you. Now, do we have some information on population of Asian Canadians in Alberta here? So as you can see on the chart, that is the breakdown. Chinese, about 180,000. Filipino, now 200,000. And Japanese, about 20,000. Korean, about 25,000. And I cannot see Vietnamese. 40, thank you. So those are some of the demographical information. What do we have next? So over the last 2 centuries, the immigrants have journeyed to Canada from East Asia, Southern Asia, Western, Central, Southeast Asia, bringing our society a rich cultural heritage representing many languages, ethnicity, and religion. People of these diverse, vibrant, and growing communities have contributed in every aspect of life in Canada, from the arts and science to sports, business, and government. So I think you can read some of this demographical information, and like I said, we'll be happy to forward some of this information to you if you are interested. What I would like to highlight is the Filipino, Chinese, and Vietnamese Canadians make up a substantial portion of the workforce in health and food services sector as essential workers. Together with Japanese and Korean Canadians, these communities have been providing support and services to Canadians during time of prosperity and also time of challenge. These communities have also been blamed, scapegoated, and mistreated during the pandemic, the recent pandemic, which triggered the resurgence of anti-Asian racism. These communities' participation, contributions, and stories of resilience, whether recent or historic, are largely unrecognized. And I think I have a few more slides that show some studies. So the Angus Reid Institute conducted a survey in 2020. I just want to highlight one thing. From the StatCan survey from last year, 54% of Chinese Canadians surveyed experienced discrimination. 54%. And it's higher than all the other racialized groups combined. During the anti-Japanese racism in the 80s, the first person to die was Chinese. During the pandemic, the first person to die in Alberta was Vietnamese. Many people who were mistreated as health workers were Filipino. And this is the context of, our time. Okay, next. Asian Canadians are more worried about the degree of racism in Canada. I'm not going to read you the statistic. You can see it and we can send it to you. It's very, very high. And but then, do you hear anybody talking about this? Okay, next slide. Asian Canadians are more likely to feel personally attacked on social media. Online hate is real. It reaches our children, our youth, and various members of our community. And yet, no one is talking about anti-Asian racism or online hate that impact us and our children and family. Okay, next. I think I have one more. And then we are also less likely to report positive mental health. So if you look at the state of mental health, it's worrisome. And if even worse for South Asian community. But not yet, again, no one is talking about this in Canada. All right, so I think that's it. That's the end. So I hope I did not go over too much. Oh, thank you. So that's the context setting for our discussion today. I'll turn it back to Anne-Marie.
I think we're going to show the video now.
Okay. Okay, this is the video, the video of our sessions in Edmonton, Red Deer, and Lethbridge during very cold weather. We have actually how many hours? 10 hours of recording that we'll be posting on social media. So you get a little clip, a little flavor.
Conversations. We hope to spark imagination and inspiration, generate greater insights and understanding of the context and issues that impact our realities.
The issue of anti-Asian racism is the most forgotten one. Even within my organization, I've heard from a few people, do we still need to talk about anti-Asian racism?
This is not just a justice system problem, this is a societal problem. And we all have to do our own part in order to change that. You need to share your story so that collectively we're going to have a social recognition.
Think about that, your voice, how much power you got. We don't have a power very much, but we are together get the power.
Bring in a culture of bayanihan, which means being a hero to each other, malasakit, which is empathy, and pakikipagkapwa-tao, which means you treat each other as human beings. So those are the foundations of the cultural values that we bring into our community. Yet, we have deep-seated issues.
Each other beyond our community as the Chinese community or the Filipino community or the Arab community. We need to know ourselves as Albertans or as Edmontonians or as Calgarians who can make a difference. And you can make a difference.
Little increment steps, Kaizen principle of just a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. That's what we want to do all the time. And that's what I encourage all of us to look at in terms of trying to do programming and how we bring communities together.
We're seen as clients, we're seen as beneficiaries. But it's very important for us to see ourselves as contributors.
People need to understand that you're leaders. And people need to understand that you're representing them, even if they don't realize it.
Pride today and be visible today and embrace your identity and your culture today.
Together we can create a future where diversity is celebrated, inclusion is prioritized, and all Albertans feel a sense of belonging. Together we can make a difference.
I hope that our communities will continue to break grounds, to break the bamboo ceilings, because when we do, we can open doors for others.
Thank you very much, Teresa, for just providing us such good context to start the panel discussion. And a huge shout out to John Marie, who has been recording, videotaping. He's back there. His talent is amazing, and we so appreciate it. That was a beautiful video. At this time, I would like to invite Patty, who will be a moderator for the panel. And then after the panel, we will go into the breakout discussion at your tables, and then we will hear your stories as well. Okay, so over to you, Patty.
Thank you. And as we did in the other 3 cities, we're going to start with a conversation among those of us here on the panel. For my, that one works, whichever one that one was. Okay, I'll get this one back. Musical microphones. What we do is there's a series of questions that I'm going to ask each of these panelists, and because there's so many of us, and we want to keep this part of the conversation fairly short and tight as sort of seeds to plant for when we're able to have conversations with each other. The conversations you all have with each other, that's the important part. What we hope the responses to the questions that we have up here in this next 30 minutes is to maybe fuel the fire a bit and go, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Oh, me too. I have that experience too. And to just kind of fuel the conversation that we'll all be having together and then reporting back on. So for my colleague panelists, what I'm going to do is take the questions and invite maybe 3 or 4 of you to answer each of the questions. So you don't have to answer them all. And I'll try to give you a little bit of a heads up so you know, oh, these 4 are going to answer this question. So that it gives you a little bit of time. First off, in this first half of the conversation, we're actually going to look back a bit and history. You heard Teresa talk a bit about the Chinese Canadian diaspora and the experience at the time of building the railway. And among the 5 Asian communities that we're talking about and referencing today, there are similar historical pieces. So what I'm going to ask is one person from each of the communities to just provide a couple of historical highlights that you want Asian Canadians and the Calgary community to know about your community. So I'm going to start over this way because I caught Cesar's eye with the Filipino community. Then we'll go Korean community and either Jay or Anna, then Teresa, then Ken, then Anne-Marie.
Sure. Thank you very much. And I want to make sure I'm time myself. The Filipino community in Alberta, we're about 216,000 now. And so if we were a separate town, we'll be the 3rd largest city in Alberta. Yep. Right? Some historical facts. One of the first waves of Filipinos came to Alberta. There were individuals, but as waves, we came here in the 60s as teachers, engineers, and other professionals. The teachers who came here were accepted as teachers, but they were not allowed to teach in the public school systems. And where were they invited to teach? In the First Nations reserves. So thank you again for welcoming the community, Filipino first waves into the First Nations. And then the next waves came in as workers in the manufacturing and other industries, right? And then in the 1990s, 2000s, we came in as caregivers, right? And as, again, workers in the front lines. And in 2007, the shift in the Canadian context is that we became more and more accepted as temporary workers. So there were more temporary visas provided not just to the Filipino community, but generally, right? And that's been a problem in our community. So some highlights is that the Filipino community bring a culture of care, a culture of working together and community. So wherever Filipinos go, whatever city or town in the province, they will be organizing. Right? If you bring 2 Filipinos together in one town, there will be at least 1 organization, maybe even 2, right? But we provide the backbone for volunteerism, the backbone for civic engagement and involvement in our community. So we bring in a culture of civic participation, pride, volunteerism, and care. But the challenge as well is that many of our community members are stuck in dead-end jobs because of the issue of immigration. Because if you're coming in as a temporary foreign worker, you lose years before you actually get into the pathway of your career. So the challenge for us is that if this is not changed, we will become the economic underclass in the community. But we need to work on this, not just as Filipino communities, but as Albertans. So mabuhay, which means we all live together as one. Thank you.
Thanks, Cesar. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Jay, is that you're going to go, or Anna?
I'll go.
Jay.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it 2 minutes or 3 minutes?
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Hi everyone, my name is Jay. A little of a Korean, Calgarian background here. Koreans coming to Calgary back in 1960s, and it has been about 65 years. And since Koreans coming to this beautiful city, we've organized the Calgary Korean Associations and also various different types of organizations such as the Scholarship Foundation, Lions Club, and the Calgary Korean Women's Club here as well, Arts Club, and I believe that we have more than 10 different associations under the brand of Calgary Korean Associations here, and we are growing, and we also want to be interactive with the other Asian groups. One of the things that we are all here today is that we want to create this momentum in a sense that we want to improve our awareness when it comes down to anti-racism issues out there. Me as a lawyer, I have had experience listening to my clients who's gone through the racism problems in the past. So I do have a fair bit of indirect experience throughout the course of dealing with my clients. And this is actual problems out there. And the reason that you're here is that because I believe that you guys are interested in these issues or already faced that kind of racism in the past. And I want you to engage in the dialogue, and we want to listen to your stories. And let's get the momentum moving. And the theme that I want to say today is that no Alberta without me, okay?
Thank you, Jay, for that plug, because I missed it in my earlier comment. Okay, so now the Chinese Canadian community. So I will just make 4 points. Otherwise, I'll go over time. So the first arrival of Chinese Canadian is 1788. And the first major wave is 1858. And there have been continuous waves of immigration from the Greater China area. So we've had the China wave, and then we had the Hong Kong wave in the started in the 70s, 80s, and then we had the Taiwan wave, and then now we have another mainland China wave. So it's a very diverse, complex community that is spread over different regions of Canada, and it remains to be one of the largest ethnocultural group in Canada with about 2 million people. Now, I'm going to focus on 3 points. One is a key historical incident that had great impact on the development of the Chinese Canadian community, which is the Chinese Exclusion Act. So how many of you have heard about heard of the Chinese Exclusion Act? Show of hand. Many? Okay. Great, because I'm glad because our children don't necessarily learn this piece of history in our school system. So why this is important? Because the impacts of this most racist, one of the most racist policies, the Chinese Immigration Act, commonly known as the Chinese Exclusion Act, that was introduced during peacetime Canada. And it was introduced and passed in Ottawa based on fear and racist attitude that banned the immigration of Chinese for a quarter century. All people of Chinese descent, including Canadian born here, have to register and carry a card at all times or face fines, imprisonment, or deportation. It separated generations of families, created a bachelor society, and halted the development of the community. Gender parity for the Chinese community was not reached until 1986. And we have a proportionately lower number of second generation because we were not allowed to have families. And so I am an immigrant to Canada, but also in my family, I'm also fourth generation because both of my great-grandfathers came to this continent as workers. And my grandparents were separated for 33 years. So the second is the major contribution. I would say that if I were going to name one, it is the nation building project, the building of the Canada Railroad that connected Canada. And I want to say the head tax that was collected from the Chinese people was $23 million. And guess how much the railroad was? $23 million. So last point is a contemporary issue, and I want to highlight the persistent underrepresentation of Chinese Canadians in leadership roles in this country. After 160 years, working very hard. We are underrepresented in all sectors, first and second tier leadership in this country. And the community must build our capacity and advance leadership so that all Canadians of Chinese and Asian descent can fulfill our potential in this country.
Thank you. Ken.
Okay, thank you very much. Ken Richardson from the Calgary Japanese Community Association. I'll just go into some history on the Japanese side real quickly. We've been here quite a while too, or not quite as long as the Chinese. We came here about 140 years ago, which means there's seventh generation Japanese Canadians here. By 1901, there was about 5,000 Canadians, Japanese Canadians here. The big thing, of course, as everybody has talked about and knows about, is the Calgary, is the fact that during the war, the Japanese Canadians were put into internment camps. And it actually created a huge divide into our community in terms of those that have lived through being in the internment camps and have been our ancestors of that, and the pain that goes, cross-generational pain that comes with that, and those parts of our Japanese community that aren't a part of that or have come immigrated post the war. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that Japanese Canadians have the highest rate of interracial marriages of any other community in the world for some reason. There's actually a lot of studies on that, but I did want to share an interesting story. I was adopted, so I grew up in a white family. I'm half Japanese, half Scottish. When my birth mother introduced me at the first Japanese family reunion in Tabor, I found out I was related to half a Tabor. But more importantly, my birth mom goes, "Oh, and by the way, here's my son and my grandchildren," and everybody's like, "What the fuck?" But when I looked around, I noticed that not a single person in my generation had married somebody that was Japanese. Everybody was interracial marriage, which means that every one of the children are multiracial children. So what that does is create the idea of, well, whoops, I'm at my 2 minutes, so I'll finish up real quick with my story. What that means is trying to figure out what it means to be Japanese is a huge thing for us. You know, if you're a quarter Japanese, are you Japanese? Or if you're half Japanese, are you Japanese? And how do we make sure that what we do with our community moving forward, we're a very mature community here in Canada, having been here for 140 years. At this point, it's how do we draw everybody together and how do we make sure that what we do actually is relevant to everybody in our community? So that's one of the big things for us.
Thank you, Ken. That's such a great story and great context. Very quickly about the Vietnamese community. The Vietnamese community really started to arrive for the most part after the mid-1970s, following the end of the Vietnam War. And so when the communist regime from North Vietnam took over South Vietnam, it led to basically a lot of people trying to escape in overcrowded fishing boats, risking their lives to escape the harsh conditions and the political persecution that happened in Vietnam. So they were called the boat people. So you may have heard that term before. The Canadian government responded and implemented a private sponsorship program. And in fact, it was the Vietnamese people's story that started the design of the private sponsorship program throughout the history of Canada. So that's where it started. And originally, 60,000 Vietnamese refugees came to Canada between 1979 and 1980. In fact, the work of Canadians and the Canadian government was so incredible that in 1986, the United Nations awarded Canada with the Nansen Refugee Award for its exceptional effort in helping refugees, including and especially those from Vietnam. And it was a unique honor, and it's still the only time that the medal was awarded to the people as a country as a whole to this day. So I think that's significant history piece there. The other thing too is, today, if we look at the census, we have close to 300,000 Canadians of Vietnamese background, about 40,000 in Alberta, and probably about 20,000 Vietnamese in Calgary. If you haven't had a chance, you can check out a new park that the Vietnamese designed and produced at the entrance of International Avenue. It's called the Journey to Freedom Park. And this park was unveiled in 2022 to honor the journey of the Vietnamese refugees and their contributions to Canada and to Canadian society. It's also to thank Canadians for their generous support of the refugees, and it's also a symbol of resilience for all of the immigrants and all of the refugees that make Canada their home. And I just want to also do a shout out for all of the elders and all of the community leaders, and many of them are here today with us, as well as the young people, for doing what they can to really sustain and grow the Vietnamese community in Calgary. And part of my story is supporting, like many of you here, supporting my own community, but I'm doing this work as a volunteer along with all these wonderful volunteers here today, because we believe that there are so many opportunities for us to connect across communities and find really good ways to make our communities stronger and better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that just gives you a little bit of the history. We're going to now head into some questions that are about looking ahead, looking to the future, and hearing some of the personal stories that you have here. Now, Beng is being a really tight timekeeper because, as I said, we want to allow the most time to hear from all of you and for you to have a part in this conversation. So Cesar, Anna, Jay, I'm going to ask you a question about how did we all come together? What was a pivotal experience or event that has influenced your leadership journey? And to describe the beginnings and impact of coming together and the relevance of now. Then, Anne-Marie, Marichu, Ken, I'm going to ask you to start us on some conversations about challenges that you're seeing as leaders in the community and the challenges of community leadership. That's question 2B that you have in your notes. So I'm just giving you sort of the heads up, and then I'm gonna set my timer, so you're gonna hear a little, it says the sound is sencha, so maybe it'll be in keeping with our work. And then Ken, Anne-Marie, Cesar, Anna, what do you value most about the experiences that you've had that you would like to see continued in the community? Given all that we've heard about our history and what we've gone through. And then finally, there's a question called, what is this moment asking of us? I want to be sure in particular that Teresa, Jay, Marichu, Anne-Marie get a chance to answer this question, but my hope is you'll all be so eloquent that we'll get to ask all of you that question, and then we come and have conversations with you. So that's how we're going to work this. 2 minutes, and Cesar, Anna, Jay, whoever wants to go first.
We're switching.
Okay. Okay, you got 2 minutes. I'm not giving you more.
Yeah, okay. So the pivotal experience that has affected, that has brought us together in what I think is the crisis. How do we transform crisis into opportunities? And I wrote something here to stick to the time. So leadership in times of crisis is not just about responding. It's about transforming fear into action and pain into purpose. In moments of crisis, the strongest communities are not born. They are revealed. That means that prior to any crisis, communities already exist, but communities come out in order to address this crisis. Crisis strips away pretense and forces us to confront who we are and what we stand for. So what I learned from crisis is that this is where we come up with, we test ourselves. What is our level of commitment, and what kind of actions are we going to do? Because not doing any action means complicity. So in our experience here in Canada, the bombing of the Twin Towers, the rise of racism after that, the murder of George Floyd, the anti-Asian hate crimes during COVID-19, during the pandemic, underscored the urgency of unity of the Black, racialized, and indigenous communities. Natural disasters like the Fort McMurray wildfire, the Jasper wildfire, the fire in the Santerra meat plant.
That's 2 minutes.
Why did it ring only in my turn?
It'll ring again, I'm sure.
But anyway, so this is what it's about, the crisis and how to transform this into opportunities.
Thanks, Marju. Again, we'll be asking you other questions, so if you don't get to make a point in this current time, make sure you add it, because this is all related, right? Anna.
Hi, my name is Anna Ko from the Korean Women's Association. It's challenging is so many things. I have to a little bit decent man here. We grown up to different countries. We have mentalism. We are not supposed to be speak out. We are not supposed to be go to out, and we obey husbands and we obey fathers and stuff like that. And come to Canada, a different story. And we live in different story and a different face on it, and we're thinking about this is not my life. I grown up differently. My father was raised me as you can talk to what you want, and you better do it right way to do it, and you are the person, you are the important person. So I looking at my communities and looks, this is not right, and I cannot live like that, and I'm starting to talk about it. And my community and pointing at me, you don't talk to Anna. You talk, and then she's going to be teach you bad stuff. Starting that, and I was, and then starting to, what are we going to do about it in our communities? Let them making the mental changing. We can talk. We can involve the, we work in the same as a man, and we can talk to right way to do it, and slowly we done it. And last 2011 we starting, come to this far and changing quite a bit. And I'm proud of myself, and I'm still challenging. I still problems involvedness, and still connecting, making them involved our community. Come down, and today's a special day for our 104 years ago we independent our country and starting to that, and this we got lots of happening, so that's why we are less people today. But we are growing quite a bit, and I'm still work on it. And the lady is older lady here. She and me started our associations, and she's still involvedness. She still speak out. She's a journalist, and it's just, I'm really proud, and I always talk. I always appreciate it, and Korean community is growing, and Korean woman is involved. Still problem, but we're growing.
Thank you. Jay, I had you on this question too. Did you want to take time, or
I'm good.
You're good. Okay, you're good. Maybe we can move to biggest challenges as key members and leaders in the community. Anne-Marie, Marichu/Cesar, Ken, and I had Jay here again. So, Anne-Marie, do you want to start us?
Amazing, thank you. If I talk about a key challenge in the community, I think for the Vietnamese community, but also I hear it from other communities, is the idea of capacity building. We have a number of Vietnamese organizations that have been around for 20, 30 years. We have a few new organizations that are emerging. Then we have people from different generations. We have language gaps, Vietnamese, English. We have cultural gaps, growing in Canada, living in Canada, and the culture and the values in Vietnam. So for us, it's about, as our elders mentioned, they're getting older and they would like to be able to pass on the torch to the younger generation. How do we do that? The capacity, I think, is an issue. As a person, how do I build my own capacity, my own skills, my own commitment to stay the course, not just for one event, but over the years? In my community, how do I support my own community? How do I reach out to other community to find out what they are working on and what are the challenges and how we can support each other? And how do I reach out to the broad-based organizations? Maybe there are programs with CRIAC or the City of Calgary or Calgary Arts and Development Authority or the YMCA or in my workplace. What are the connection points and how can we leverage each other's important work to raise and uplift all of our communities together? That, I think, for me is the biggest challenge.
And under 2 minutes. Good job, Anna. Okay, I'm going to answer really quickly too from the Calgary community, Japanese community perspective. A number of things. First off, I would say the biggest thing for us is the change in role of what's the role of our community association. It used to be a place where you come to support your community, and it's moving and changing to a place that actually is to share Japanese culture with Calgary. And that's not a little thing, that's a big thing. For example, when I go to the community center, I'll look and see every Friday we have a Japanglish, a language exchange program where people come to learn Japanese and share Japanese. Very few people there are actually Japanese, but that's a great thing. That's part of what our needs are. Also, the huge variety of what are the experiences and who we are as a community. I touched on it in terms of, those that are halfers like myself or quarter Japanese, or even, for example, I'm super proud that Kim there is a Filipino board member for the Calgary Japanese Community Association. That kind of diversity is huge. And when we were doing the Japanese festival just a little while, we decided we're going to do a drag show because we need to be inclusive and we're going to walk the talk. And we got pushback, within our own community about doing that. But if you're going to be inclusive, you're going to be making sure that you're programming for all parts of your community, including those members that are members of the LGBT2S community. Then you got to do it. And when I got pushback from that, we talked about the fact that biases and bigotry like that was why we ended up in internment camps. So give your head a shake and let's be truly inclusive. But where I'm going with that is you got to think even wider than that. What is our role? Where are we going? And for us, that's the big thing. That and, of course, capacity building and succession planning. Getting young people into that is important. And there's my 2 minutes. Thank you.
Marichu. My name is Marichu. Yeah. Among the Filipinos here, raise your hand if it's your first time to come to a Pan-Asian conversation. Yeah, see? Yeah, so, we love organizing among Filipinos, as I mentioned a while ago. But two challenges. One is that we often become too insular and inward-looking. So the one challenge is how do we use our capacity to self-organize and derive strength from our communities to actually work with others in a sustained, meaningful, and effective ways, right? So again, we are a large community, but we are often invisible in collaborative spaces. And we need to do more around that. The other challenge is that we also need to find ways in which we can draw our strength from community organizing to actually change some of the systems and the public policies that govern us. Like, for instance, we need to work together to change immigration laws so that we get rid of being temporary. Like, if you're good enough to work, you're good enough to reside in Canada.
right? So we need to find ways in which we can work across our communities to impact the systems and the public institutions that govern our lives. So we need to work on that, not just for the Filipino community, but across the board. We have some experiences doing that, but in very episodic, once in a while ways. We need to sustain that, right? And what's happening down the border is an impact, is a reality when communities do not stand together and create the communities and the governance that they deserve and that they need to dream for. See? No ring. Those two challenges. Thank you.
I can identify two main challenges within Korean community. Number one, I think succession plan, as Ken alluded earlier, how can we make interesting so that the younger generations can join the associations and flourish from there. That's I'm sure that the other communities, nonprofit organizations face the similar or same types of challenges there. The second challenges that I see is that, as you can see, that we, like a Korean people, there's very few people attended today's event. I think like Koreans need to motivate it and trying to network and get connected with other Asian groups. That's very important. As far as I see, we are doing our own activities within the community, not so much about sharing and expanding the network. I'm sure that there's about 25,000, 30,000 Koreans in Alberta, out of which more than half of them are in Calgary. But the representations that you can see in this event is not that great. So that's the second challenge that I can see within the Korean community. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks very much. And you can see again that these are issues that are coming up that I'm sure many of you can relate to. And so just starting to create that kind of bubbling up. The next question we have is, what do you value most in this experience that you would like to see continued in community? How do we help collectively share community leadership in the broader Asian Canadian communities, given again, what we've all experienced and gone through, and weave this together? I've identified Cesar, Anna, Anne-Marie, and Ken on this question. And then when our final question again is about what is this moment asking of us, and hopefully Bang will bear, how much did you, altogether 30 minutes. We all had, so that says 7 minutes?
Each have 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah, okay, so you're gonna hear the binging. Okay, so the new Cesar 2.0, why don't you start us off?
So what I value most is that the lived experiences of those who are impacted, because that is usually the source of inspiration and ideas on solutions that are confronting our communities. So, and along with that, positive experiences and assets and skills of those who are experiencing these issues are also innovation. Usually, solutions are coming from creative ways of coming up with solutions by listening to the stories of those who are impacted. And just one concrete example regarding raising this to the policy level. When we learned that the children of temporary foreign workers who are born here cannot access health services, that was actually the basis of the idea on a change in policy, which is to allow those children of immigrant parents who are born here to have an equitable access to public health. And that became the reason for a policy change that was later approved. Now, children of temporary foreign workers who are born here are enjoying the same rights as children of those who are not foreigners. I think that's one thing I value most. So value the positive experiences and the contributions and stories of those who are impacted, and then raise this to the level of policy together with the voice of those who are impacted.
Value, youth involvedness is pretty valuable, and it's we are as a first generation is doing it, surviving for the living. But second generation, we can do the better value of our lives and better for your communities and histories. And I like to be continuous to work with second generations, but problem is how we can involve the second generations, how we connecting. That's this value and a challenge, and we're going to be continuous doing for the youth as well as woman involvedness. That is our value, and I'll continue doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Anne-Marie and Ken, do you have a microphone down there?
Thank you. So it's about what I value the most in this experience and that I would like to see continue. I reflect on my journey 22 years ago when myself, my husband Antoine, and our friend Ying started the Calgary Vietnamese Youth Group. I really tried to reach out for where else I can get some support, some ideas, and learn from other people. Teresa found out about me and then invited me to attend a very wonderful retreat with the Ethnocultural Council. And there I met many people, including Cesar and Mary Chu, and so many community leaders from other groups that have given me a lot of courage, a lot of strengths, a lot of skills to continue to do my work in the Vietnamese youth community. I also learned a lot from my Vietnamese elders, from my parents, and try to also help with the Vietnamese community. And I think that what I'm hoping this exchange would allow us to do is provide those same opportunities for all of you, especially the younger people who are trying to do something good in their own life to increase their engagement and their contributions and find a sense of purpose. I hope that we can come together to continue to do this work and to get more folks to support the succession planning that everybody has talked about today.
Great. Okay, I'll jump in. My day job is with the City of Calgary. I manage the creative department, and I actually see a lot of my colleagues here from the City of Calgary. And I remember the mayor once telling me, Ken, yeah, you've drunk the Kool-Aid of public service ethic. And it's what I do during my day job, and it's what I do at night. There's how can I say this? There's an ethic of public service, of trying to make life better, that I deeply believe in, and I see that in the people around me. How many people here volunteer on behalf of your community? How many people? Quite a bit of you. This is the thing. Calgary actually has one of the highest volunteer rates in the world, actually. And it's why we're able to do the things we do, and it's one of the things that makes our city great. And it's one of the drivers for me of why we volunteer, and it's very inspiring to be working with people like the panel members here, and it's what keeps me going, and it's hopefully what is a driver for involving more people in the community to be part of what we do. I know that it's a privilege for us, a privilege for me. I know that if you're working 3 jobs, you don't have time to put much time into volunteering, so I get it. But the more we volunteer, the more we try and work together to support each other, make a better city, make a better place for us all to be. That's what keeps me going, and I think what keeps our community centers going.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. So maybe to Bang's chagrin, she's going to go, oh, I thought you saved all this time, and now I'm going to ask everybody the same question. So we're going to wrap up with our final question, and the question is called, what is this moment asking of us? So you've heard members of the panel comment in a variety of ways about challenges, about opportunities and successes. So this is the question that we then want to lead into and have conversations at each of your tables. So what is this moment asking of us? And I'm going to start with Teresa. Teresa started us off in a good way, and so I wanted her to start us off on this last question, and then I'll go over this way. So Anna, Jay, Cesar, Mari Chu, Anne-Marie, Ken, and then I'm going to add my 2 bits in there as well. 2 minutes, off you go.
Now that after I listen to all these comments, I might be at risk of my 2 minutes. But anyways, I'm going to try. So I think before I respond, share with you my comment on what's this moment asking of us, I just want to say, as you can see, we get to lump together as Asian Canadians. But we share many similarities, but we are also very diverse and complex, each and every of these communities. So I'm going to respond to just one thing I heard from my colleagues here: capacity building, which is fundamental for civic and informal civic action leading to institutional change. And so why is it that after 40, 50 years, we're still struggling with capacity building? Because capacity building, while we are willing to volunteer, requires some resources. But you know what? As a society, as a city, as a province, as a country, our governments have invested lots of money on capacity building, except that the money never got to us. So I'm going to say, when I started to build my first out of 8 nonprofit organizations, I've discovered, as Asians, we have no access. So not any level of government would give me funding to help my community, not any bank or funders. So it took me 15 years to get funding from all of them. And then when I was in public office, I was elected, how many times? 4 times. And my definition for underrepresentation is not number. When we are underrepresented at decision-making tables, that means our needs, our issues, our perspective, our lived experience, and our worldview are not included. So I don't have time to give you example, but I'm going to answer the question. To me, this moment, more than ever, is telling us to come together, to learn about our collective issues and experience, to strengthen connections and alliances, to build capacity and support each other, to be courageous and bold. We need to be courageous and bold in Canada in order to have respect. I love the Asian value. We love to be modest, but you know what? To get respect, we need to be bold. This moment requires us to work together, to bridge over our divide, and I believe this moment will also reveal the strength that we have to respond to issues with greater impacts. I spent the last 7 years focusing on leadership advancement for Chinese Canadians. And I also have been learning. My colleagues here from the different community have also been doing the same. We recognize the importance to have influence and to influence, to shape decision making. So I'm trying to wrap up here. So that we can be more effective in supporting our communities and use our. I need to address. We have to learn to define our collective pain as a major population, and then use our collective power to influence and make greater change.
I think any other community, same thing, asking myself, and I done it 10 years for a lot of trainings and capacity buildings and a lot of things. How we can do continuous to doing it, how we can do the continuous dialogue, how we can do involved in the society and the volunteering. That's my asking. I asking myself in 2025. I'm going to be involved in more youth groups. I do the more women's coming out to our communities. That's what I'm challenging, as well as I'm going to be continuous doing it. I asking myself, how are we going to do That's I asking myself. I'm going to hand it to Jay. I wonder he has something to say.
I have a short message echoing from Teresa's comment. I think the point that I want to address is that sharing your story and create momentum. And that's what I want to tell all of you, and I look forward to hear from you as well.
My take on this question is a bit broad, because I think all our communities have been trying to build a Canada, a country that is more equitable, that is more accessible, and that is more friendly for everyone. Especially now, this question is an important question because of what's happening in the world today. So my hope is that we as Asian Canadians will continue to aspire for and work together to build the Canada that we think is important for all of us. I pointed out a few things for me personally. What is it about Canada that I like? Although imperfect, these are the things that is important to us. We are on a journey of truth and reconciliation, and we continue to do that. Our creating relationships with those who have been here before us. Number two, we are building a culture. We are building multiculturalism in this country. Number three, we value our public health system and our public education because these are great equalizers for all. Number four, we value, and this is me, we value a public broadcaster that is not beholden to greedy interests, right, and commercial interests, but is connected to our communities. Number five, we are continue to strive, even if it's imperfect, a culture of inclusion. Number six, we value our artists and their art practice to help us make meaning of our lives and our future. And number seven, we continue to strive for a more equitable society. We need to be part of this because no one's talking about this. We are talking about Canada now, but in very, very broad. I cannot identify with those, but I can identify with this. So thank you.
In addition to what have been said, I think what I learned from our Philippine experience when we toppled down the dictatorship there is critical mass. We need to produce the people who are victims of oppression. In our case here, the anti-racism, the systemic racism that we are experiencing, we need to put this into action. So it's very important to organize, increase our numbers. We don't want to be heard only, but we want to be at the decision-making table. This is the only way we can make lasting change. But most especially, if you look at this table, we are not really representing the youth. So it's very important to engage our youth at a very early age until they become our leaders. In fact, some of them are already leaders. So critical mass, organizing, and youth voice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This moment is asking of us, okay, maybe I'll take the angle of my work at the Canadian Centre for Diversity and Inclusion. I work with over 700 employer partners across Canada in all sectors, in all industries. And I will have to tell you that one of the big things that we've noticed over and over again is that Asian workers, Asian professionals are consistently at the lower level of the organization. Most of them might reach the professional level, but you see very, very few CEOs, VPs, senior directors on the boards, okay? And what we need to do is, like Teresa said, be courageous and be bold and look at our own Asian values and how we can adapt them to actually succeed in all spheres of society so that our voice will be stronger and we will be better represented. I think it's a big challenge that we have as a community. We're very humble, we're very kind, but we need to also be a little bit more courageous and vocal so that people understand who we are and what we can contribute.
Okay, first of all, I just want to shout out to Cesar what he had to say about storytelling and the importance of artists in our community. Being an artist myself and artists out there, it's a selfless thing. Also, I think we need to break down the us and them, both within our own communities, between our different cultural communities, and between our culture, those people that are outside of our culture. This is hugely important for us. Cross-cultural dialogue like these, and like what you can have in your own communities, like you can have at your local barbecue or a block party that you have, are critical and important. I would say, hey, have a cup of tea with your neighbor. Have a discussion. It's really hard to hate somebody you've sat down and had a cup of tea with. So it starts at the grassroots level. It starts with each one of us taking having some of those difficult conversations and sharing what we have in common in terms of the human race. So that's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Okay, so 2 more minutes and then we're moving on to group discussion. So I just want to give Bang the heads up, and Anne-Marie who will introduce this. I'm going to start the timer for me. 3 things that I want to share with you coming out of this. Thank you all very much. Personally, I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for the people on this panel, some of whom I've known for the better part of 25 years. My first serious volunteer role was for Asian Heritage Month when it was first designated. And like many at this table, Teresa was the one who identified that she saw potential in me. And when I say I wouldn't be here today, it's not about this table. It's about having been able to serve at the Calgary Foundation as a member of the board, overseeing an endowment of over $1 billion. It's about being on the board of the Calgary Stampede, and someone like me, I was the first person of color, period, elected to the board in 112 years. 115 years later, I was not re-elected to the board because my name didn't sound like all the other names that had come before me. So we still have work to do. I would not be the CEO of an organization that started at $6 million in 2018, and now I manage a budget of over $21 million in the city of Calgary. So that's because of these people. That's because I was given a chance to live my life in a way that included my Chinese heritage and share that with others. So for those of you in the room, volunteerism in Alberta, notwithstanding what Ken said, it is high. But since COVID, it's down 27%. And I promise you, giving service, giving back, will pay off for you, literally and figuratively. So think about that. And I don't care how old you are. You can be 17 or 70, and you still have something to contribute to this community. The last thing I just want to mention is right now, Calgary's visible minority is 38%. Okay, good point. Oh, go. 4 in 10 Calgarians look like us, or are in a wheelchair, or have different abilities than we do. The voter turnout at the last civic election was 34%. So if you do the math, visible minorities could elect the next mayor of Calgary, let alone city council. Visible minorities and communities will make the policy changes around temporary foreign workers that Mari Chu referred to. Visible minorities will create more Asian Heritage Month. That was the first month designated for cultural community. We now have Filipino Heritage Month, Japanese Heritage Month, South Asian Heritage Month, Indigenous Month, because of Asian Heritage Month. So for people who feel like we didn't do it, we really did. And we're only growing. So that's what this panel conversation was intended to sort of just give you some line of sight. You are part of an extraordinary history. We started with Elder Kevin. You are part of a history here that goes back thousands and thousands of years. Embrace that. Be a part of that and find your co-conspirators in the room who will help us elect the next mayor in October of this year. That's my final thought, and I'm going to hand it back to Anne-Marie. Thank you all very much for taking the time and listening.
Thank you so much to our panelists. Thank you to all of you for your attention. I hope that you got some good insights and good stories that you learned today. What we're going to do now is we're going to break into 8 groups. So maybe some tables will come together, and we're going to have 30 minutes at your tables. So we're going to invite the 8 panelists to each host one table. And the questions we want to ask of you is, you know, what is the moment asking of you and us here? What is the challenge of community leadership now from your own experience, right? And how can we together shape the picture of community and community leadership in our Asian Canadian community in Calgary? Okay, so feel free to stretch, go to the bathroom, grab a drink, and then we'll set up the tables, and then we invite you to move and go to different tables and meet new people. Thank you. Okay.
First candidate from Dolly, she talks about the lack of representations in our community, and when it comes down to policy decision making, we need to do something more than that in order to implement our ideas. There's some concerns about what's teaching at the school. I'm not going to go in details. Second candidate, Michelle, first time attending here. Thank you very much for attending. She emphasized the importance of encouraging younger generations to participate, and her emphasis is also, again, continue the momentum against the racism. From Anne, third candidate here. She made some interesting comments that she's Vietnamese Canadian, right? And she also mentioned about the culturally divided between the old generations and the younger generations. I think this is a common issue across all different types of nonprofit organization that we have. I know that the older generations, they need to accommodate, they need to listen to younger generations. They cannot be stubborn about the decisions and the directions that the organization is heading. They should encourage, and we should encourage younger generations to participate. Otherwise, they're not going to do that because they believe that the older generations will do everything for them. So we have to listen to a younger generation. Fourth candidate from Jesse. He also echoed from what Anne said. He's part of the Malaysian, Brunei, Singaporean community, and he's also actively involved in the community. He also encouraged his children to attend. He's trying to make the board. He's trying to make the organization more interesting, and that's he's trying his best in terms of having his organization have a proper succession plan. There's a fifth candidate from Pat. She has been a teacher. She taught at the U of C and the various other institutions. She mentioned about 2 things. The first thing was that when she teaches, because she's Asian and her class is a group of different ethnic groups, it was very difficult for her to cross the message or cross the values that she's trying to convey. Second thing was that she has been experienced or have seen that when it comes down to budget cut, for example, she noticed that for example the color faculties usually get impacted. Despite the fact that university policy includes the diversity, inclusion, and equity. The sixth candidate from Vita. Am I going too long? Okay, this is a...
Thank you, Jay. Thank you. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. We're going to give it to Cesar now. So as just a reminder, only 3 key points.
3 key points. Okay. One of the key points is around that we need to understand that the culture is evolving. Like, it's not static. So as the generations cut across and evolve, we need to capture the evolution of our culture. The second point, we did a lot of the intergenerational thing. So this is the building of the generations. And they came out with this interesting comment. How do we build a future that doesn't erase the past? And how can we look at the past so that it does not limit the future? And that's the conversation for intergenerational dialogue. So the other point is that the kind of leadership we need to look at need to be a bridge-building leadership, and it needs to evolve from the various, I'd like to use your point, touch points from different communities, but also different generations. And then we build a network of these touch points, so we create that connections among our communities. And our last suggestion, we need to follow up on what's happening here. We need an intergenerational speed dating symposium. Right? Thank you. We had more points, but...
Good afternoon to everyone. I'm June Kakayuran, the president of the Alberta PhilCan Community Leaders Association, comprising 15 communities and 36 groups engulfing rural Alberta. So, question number 1, what is this moment asking of us? There are 3 groups here. We have the Sundry Group, a newly organized community Filipino group, and we have the Airdrie, the city of Airdrie. We're in, and Bend, of course, my place, Bend National Park, yeah. So the moment they're asking for us is, to organize, to have that capacity building, because the community we are organizing in Alberta has different levels. We have newly emerged community. There are 10 years existing community, and for me existing for the past several years, 2016. And of course, there's a lot of challenges in the organization, just like funding, how to access funding from we have 3 sources, right? We have the federal, we have the provincial, and the city. How to access on this fund? Organizing also. The challenges is like the Filipinos, there are split of groups among Filipino bigger group, just like it's a regionalistic group, just like group of Visayas, group of, they speak the other dialect, so they group together. So there's a semblance of, we cannot organize in as a group, as a community. So I think as an experience in Bend, that is a process of maturing. That's part of organizing. So the capacity building, we have a lot of friends are giving capacity building in the group of Filipino. That's why we are leveling up. So we have the provincial level, we have the community level. And third, how we help collectively shape the future of community and community leadership in the Asian Canadian community. In Band, we started to invite other communities, ethnocultural Asians, in our celebrations. Just like Ukrainian, Japanese, Indians, they are joining us. So I think that is a starting point for us as a community to form our ranks as an Asian, right? The bigger the group as an Asian, contributing same pain we are struggling in Canada, then we will be having that sense of unity. if we are united, more stronger, we will be joining, maybe we could be joining the government, not only picture taking with the MLAs, picture taking with the MPs, but we should go beyond that. We should be part of the policy making of this government, wherein we are affected on those policies, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, Teresa, your table, please.
Thank you. 4 points from this table and an announcement. So more diverse, effective ways to tell our stories through the arts, perhaps through films, because we have the, what is it? Fascination Film Festival right here. The other point is more effectively communicate the benefit of diversity and inclusion, because despite that our population, our community is growing, we are still clusters of minority communities. So how do we convey the benefit of diversity and inclusion to the broader community? The other point is to examine the internal and external challenges to leadership. So it is time that we find ways to critically reflect and examine what is holding us back from engaging in leadership roles and pursuing leadership roles in Canada, and what are some of the institutional barriers that is preventing us from equitable participation at decision-making tables. And the other is address the diversity, the divide amongst and within communities. So you know, I think someone said the Filipino community like to organize. Is it by region, by province? The Chinese actually we first start to organize by names, and there are hundreds of names, and then by region, and then by profession. So how do we actually develop strategies to more effectively engage and reach out to our communities? Some of the issues that was discussed at this table. And I would like to lastly to announce that the Act to End Racism Network, we've been working on transforming that network. And the new entity will be the Asian Canadian Council. And it will be a national entity with many of us in the room and colleagues from across the country that will be coming together to further develop and support this kind of work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Teresa. Okay, over to Anna's table.
Hi, we're going to do second generation. People are going to be answered all the questions. I like to be practiced now. So Kayla going to be first one, and second one because Jenny going to answer.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to just speak a little bit of what we were talking about for the first question of what is this moment asking for us. And our table really just spoke about how it's important to continue having these dialogues, especially between the different generations in your community and within each other, so that we understand each other's needs and how we can encourage each other to continue to make meaningful contributions and understanding the value of volunteer work and inspiring the younger generation to keep staying involved to keep this momentum going. And I'm going to pass this one to, sorry, I forgot your name.
Jenny. This is Jenny, and so the question is what it means to take part and contribute. I guess from my sense, it has seeing friends and peers contributing at different times in their life. There are certain times when there is a need for community, and certain times when perhaps when you're a newcomer to Canada, it's important to establish a career and professional networks first, and so that can take you in various directions. But then at other points in your life, there's a need for community, and so having been part of the Chinese Canadian community as a young person and growing up in Calgary, I guess I've always been part of the Chinese Canadian community, but I also had to develop my career outside of the community in broad-based institutions. And so seeing different people find their passion and find their strengths in the various volunteer groups that I've been part of, and knowing that some of the institutions may come and go and change over time, but it's important to maintain, grow, as well as evolve the organizations that we've been part of. Okay, that's all.
Thank you. Amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go to Patty's table.
Thanks. A lot of the points that have been raised by other tables, I think we touched on here as well. And I'll ask for forgiveness. We recorded everything, so if I missed something, know that it's on the recording. Point one was about navigating the systems, whether it's about being a newcomer, whether it's about being someone here trying to find your way into community or network. Many international students or students who are taking part in post-secondary find challenges that relate to things like economics, educational access, finding networks and communities to build in. So that what might be the ways to change the system to allow for better opportunity. We talked about the merit system when it comes to IRCC and how to qualify in those things. So part of that is around policy change and, again, getting involved. Another point that came up was around media and communications. So it's one thing even to be designated if you identify being a journalist. It's another that then expands to how are our stories being told? And who are they being told by? And how are we allowing for people to actually make a living and tell that story? And I mentioned that in Edmonton, a suggestion came up that we should create an all-Asian specialty channel that is telling Asian stories because of how many of us there are in the community, and that the current channels aren't covering that, particularly mainstream channels like our public network. So that's something that came up in particular. And then capacity building, there were all kinds of considerations which we heard throughout. But really, there's also something that as communities in our own right, coming together, how might we help each other? In the video that you saw earlier, Marichu talked about we're seen, irrespective of whether we're newcomers or immigrants or have been here 4 generations, we're seen as taking from the system. We're not seen as contributing into the system in good ways. And here's now a chance for us to do that when there are so many more of us to do that. And so as much as it's about raising our own identities and our own opportunities, it's also about how we all engage and help each other, right? High tide raises all boats. So those are the major points.
Thank you so much to you, Patty, and your team for that. This is the last table, I think. I hope we didn't miss any of the tables. So this is the table over here, and I'll just do a brief report back. One is around capacity building, but I think the one different point about it is that there's a comment about how the current granting system is not always culturally appropriate, and that some of the criteria for the use of funds is too restrictive. It doesn't take into account the actual needs of the community. So I think some of us who are using, and some of the grants, sometimes we can experience that. The other piece too is, supporting civic participation, addressing voter apathy, and how to involve members of the community in understanding the power of their vote and the power of their voice. And the third point worthwhile is, as we're talking about succession planning, how do we create opportunities for young people to join the various Asian community groups that we have here? and engaging them in co-designing and co-creating the kind of community that we want, as opposed to just inviting them to our existing events and programming, and really listen to their needs and how to build programming to meet the needs of the young people. Okay, thank you so much. I think that wraps it up, right, Beng?
Yes, thank you so much, Anne-Marie. Thank you, everyone. Yes, a big round of applause, loud round of applause for all of you and to all our panel. This is our last, for this round, this is our last dialogue, and hopefully we'll do it again. The panel is actually really hoping to engage with more parts of Alberta too. And I just want to share also, one of our observations is going from, I'm the last speaker with this mic, right? So, okay. One of our observations going around the different locations is that, like what has been mentioned earlier, a lot of the Asian communities work in silos. They're very active, but they work in silos, right? And they have that drive to be more collaborative after the dialogue. But in Calgary, we actually have this platform already, and it's the Asian Heritage Month. So we're just inviting everyone. We're starting conversations, meetings on Thursdays, starting this March 6th. It's all online. So if you want, you get in touch with Teresa or myself if you want to be part of that meeting. Some of you are already asking on how to get in touch with others. That's the best platform to be engaged with other Asian communities. So that's, yes, and Asian Heritage Month is when? No, you don't know? Just kidding. So now, before we end, I know you've all filled up the evaluation form, right? Yes, so that's the QR code there. But now, before we all leave, I'd like to ask everyone to please come up front for a group photo, because we can't miss the Calgary group photo. We have to have it. Please. So here, just here, Kuya, can we just flash the title screen so that it's, and then there's some part of the stage that some can go up, and then we'll have everyone just in front. Thank you so much again. And while you're coming up here, we do have brochures here on anti-Asian racism information materials in 5 different Asian languages. And my challenge after this is for each of you to get one. The bundles is 10 by 10 copies each of 11 types of brochures that I hope after this event you can chat with your family members or your friends or your organization members and leaders about anti-Asian racism. The good thing about these brochures are they're very Asian specific. The examples are Asian.